to, move around. And well, when my parents divorced when I was 9, and the way that my dad and I would see each other was he would send me plane tickets every summer and then every other Christmas, and that's how I would travel out to see him. And so that's where my love of travel, aviation, and flying actually came from. And in closing, I'll end with saying that if you got yourself a dream, work hard, believe in yourself, because I know dreams do come true. And what I like to do right now, if you don't mind, is I'd like to open it up for some questions. Questions, answers for the remainder. So, yeah.
What was the biggest challenge growing up that you said?
Biggest challenge? Oh, wow. Well, there's lots of challenges, I hate to tell you. Change would be one. Always having to transition into a new situation would be one. The loud noises was one. And a lot of these, I would actually, believe it or not, I would grow out of through like maturity and whatnot.
Jeremy, for the transition, did the schools help with that? Did they try to help you with transition? Okay.
Especially when I went into private school.
Mm-hmm.
The school where I really thrived a lot, that you heard me talk about, was Trinity Christian Academy, which is located in Oxford. I did go to public school about 2 years before that, and unfortunately, the experiences there were not so good. Not so good.
So you mentioned that your parents got divorced when you were about 9, and that change is probably one of the hardest things that you had to go through. So how did you manage your parents' divorce?
Fortunately, that was kind of an easy transition of all things because my parents' divorce was very amicable and peaceful. I mean, they left on very good terms. So I really hardly noticed anything. I mean, I knew that Dad was moving away, and my parents were actually separated about a year before the divorce actually happened. But during my time of growing up, they constantly stayed in touch to make sure I had what I needed. Make sure the things were met, needs were met, and whatnot. Yeah. Okay.
I find it interesting how you like love planes and being on planes and stuff, but sound is an issue for you because airports are kind of loud. It just and also you like to travel, but you're not too keen on change. How does those two work together?
Taking the bitter with the sweet. I mean, in flying or air travel, unless there's like a flight, unless there's going to be like some delay or something, but you can kind of pretty much expect a transition of things that are going to happen. I mean, you're going to check in, you're going to wait at the gate, you're going, and a few minutes later, if all goes well, you're going to board the plane. Then you're going to settle down in the seat and kind of get acclimated, with where you are in the plane. And kind of what helps me is because I'm just so keenly interested in planes and aviation and just airport life in general that I'm kind of too busy enjoying and trying to see what's going on, what the flight route, what the crews are doing on the ground, and I have because of the 30-plus years I've had of air travel, I can pretty much almost anticipate if, you know, if we're going to have issues, or, you know, the plane's going to get delayed due to some kind of malfunction. One of my favorite ones that I had actually had happened not too long ago. I was in Birmingham airport one morning, and I'll tell you what, the pilot, this particular pilot who made these announcements, I wonder if he's still flying for Delta, because it was kind of a bad representation. Well, anyway, getting to the point, just before I'm about to board, he comes up to the podium and says, "Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be delayed here about 20 minutes because I got to wait on somebody to fix something on the front tire. The guy, I was supposed to have had an aircraft here ready for you guys, but the other pilot stole my aircraft and left me with this junk." Yeah, how about that?
Yeah.
Left me with this junk. So, I mean, of course, you know, they come out, they fix the tire, you know, everything goes fine after that, but I just thought, oh, I was like, I would just love to know if that guy's even still flying for Delta anymore.
So Jeremy, to add to what Ashton was just saying about you said at some, you know, that you've matured a lot in certain, but when you were very sensitive to sound, when as a young person, did they give you any sort of like noise canceling headphones or anything?
Oh, yes. Well,
okay.
Back then we didn't have, you know, that technology was not even around. I carried those, and I still have a pair of those that I take to like air shows.
Mm-hmm.
They don't necessarily cancel, but I wear those kind of headphones that just, you know, block sound.
Sure.
You know, block about probably maybe 30 decibels. They're basically the same kind of headphones you would wear in a gun range.
Sure.
You know, when you're shooting a pistol. Those kind of headphones is what I use. And yes, I do use them religiously at say like at an air show, or when I'm watching, you know, the Blue Angels or the Thunderbirds or something like that. Yeah, because I mean, it's not just loud, but it's not good for your ears either.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Go ahead. Will.
Where did you see the Blue Angels at?
I've seen them at Pensacola a lot. In fact, my very first air show I got to go to when I was 12, 30 years ago, was at the beach in Pensacola. And they actually come to Tuscaloosa here a lot. In fact, they're actually coming to Tuscaloosa this weekend. And I've actually already got plans to go with a friend of mine this Sunday, and we're going to watch them. And then I'm going to another air show with a friend of mine in Columbus, Mississippi, to watch Thunderbirds at the Columbus Air Force Base. I love both of them, but I am kind of particularly more into the Thunderbirds because they're Air Force, and because my dad is retired Army, and I also have several relatives who served in the Air Force, and my grandfather was a tail gunner on the B-17s during World War II and whatnot. And when he was still alive, he used to, you know, tell me stories, you know, about some of his missions, you know, he got to go on. And so if I had to choose between one, it's going to be Air Force Thunderbirds every time. Because I mean, well, when my father got deployed to go somewhere, you know, the Air Force was they were the ones to give him a ride. You know, when the Marines got to go somewhere, the Navy picks them up and takes them where they got to go. So there's your little military trivia there. Yeah.
So, you've gone through the diagnosis process yourself and been involved in the advocacy for treatment of autism a lot. So, what are your thoughts on the change in the DSM-5 to autism spectrum disorder versus the 5 separate diagnoses?
It's definitely gotten better, I would say, and of course, you know, that's why you know, that's what I loved about serving on the Autism Council and now serving along with Richard on the autism, on the Regional Autism Network and whatnot. 'Cause, I mean, we're the ones that's going to be making these changes, you know, and making it better for all of them, you know, for us all.
So Jeremy, if a family came to you and told you that their 2-year-old was just diagnosed with autism. Now, this is a family that just received this news. They're not very educated about the diagnosis. They haven't started treatment yet. How would you talk to that family? What would you tell that family about what to expect and what to do and that sort of thing?
Get them early intervention right away. Get them intervention right away. That would be my first thing I would tell them. Because I find in my own research that that those who don't get intervention, say after the age of 2, and that is where I was just damn lucky with my situation, that I got the intervention that I got early on. I find that if you don't start, say, before 5, your chances are going to diminish. You know, as far as trying to salvage, you know, some of that functionality, you know, they're going to need then and they're going to need later. Sure. Yeah. So, I have gotten in the pulpit before on early intervention. I've been known about that. If there was a Bible on earth, if there was a Bible on early intervention, I would thump it.
You'd have been thumping.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you go through like times in your life where you felt like there was a bit of regression, and then also times where you like suddenly progressed and say social skills or anything really?
No, it was more of a general progression rather than regression. I really can't recall any regress. It was pretty much, you know, progress all the way. So,
What's your favorite airline?
Delta.
Delta.
As you can see in the book.
Yeah, that's why I asked as much.
Yeah, there's a little story in there too. It just so happened when I lived in Anniston, my mom preferred my dad to book my flights out of Atlanta because it was just more convenient and it was also cheaper. And as an air traveler myself, I still prefer flying out of Atlanta because it is cheaper and more convenient. And well, Atlanta is the hub, you know, for Delta, and it's also where the headquarters is located at also. And so I grew up flying Delta a lot growing up, so I just naturally took a liking to the airline, and I'm very happy to say that the last 2 years I have actually been participating in a little program called Wings for Autism that we've actually had here at the Birmingham airport, and it's a training where a small to medium-sized group of parents and their children who are on the spectrum actually get to come to the airport and go through a mock training, what it's like to, you know, check in, go through, you know, security, and then you go to the gate, you know, get settled in at the gate, board the aircraft, go through the boarding procedures on the aircraft, and they would even, you know, drive the plane around the tarmac and kind of do like, you know, pretend fly. And they would let the kids, like, you know, come to the cockpit, you know, for a few minutes and ask questions and whatnot. And the first couple times that we did that on Delta, I was actually a sponsor through that. And when I get ready to pass out cards, and and you go to my YouTube link that's on there, there's actually an interview that I give at our first Wings for Autism event that we did, where I talk about some of my personal experiences, with Delta and what it was like. But yeah, I often attribute Delta to making me independent and making me the world traveler that I am today.
So how do you get to that Atlanta airport? You said you don't drive.
I take either the Greyhound, believe it or not. And well, when you don't drive and you have to use public transportation, and this is where being a planner and being a scheduler, can be very beneficial in the situation. Atlanta, of course, compared to here, has an exceptional transportation system. And the way I currently go now is I would take Greyhound to Atlanta, and the Atlanta Greyhound station just so happens to be connected to a MARTA train station. That's the name of Atlanta's transit system, MARTA. And I would hop on the train, and I would take the train to the airport, and from there I would get on the plane. Yeah. Okay. It's the website Expedia is also a good friend of mine too. I use them a lot for my travel bookings. Yeah.
Do you ever Uber around?
I don't. I haven't yet. I just really haven't had a need for it yet. And actually, there's a new service that just came to Birmingham called Groom Transportation that now offers a shuttle van service to the Atlanta airport now. So I'm going to be probably looking at that, see how that might work out for me the next time I have to go there to catch a plane.
You said that that public school you didn't have a good experience with public
Right.
school. Is there, if say a public school came to you and said we're trying to start a program to educate students about what it's like to have autism, or how to work and be friends with people who have autism, what would you tell that school? I mean, what sorts of things would they need to know that you think would have helped you when you were in school?
I would, of course, address bullying. I would address maybe educating their own students. That someone on the spectrum is probably going to come into their class.
Sure.
And I would encourage also and always encourage inclusiveness. I mean, if there's anything I enjoyed, I loved particularly about when I transitioned from public school to private school was, they were just, my friends that I had there were just, they always made sure I was included all the time. And I still stay in touch with those friends and the faculty via Facebook to this day. And I really love Facebook for that a lot. I mean, Facebook for me has allowed me to reconnect with a lot of my classmates that I really did miss when I graduated, and it's allowed me to reconnect with some of the faculty of the school, some of like my special ed teacher and art teacher that I mentioned in the book that's going around. I stay in touch with them via Facebook, and so that's been really awesome, to have that connection again.
Do you think, Jeremy, it would be easier for people on the spectrum who may have more social anxiety and issues that way to connect through the internet or through social media? Do you think it's easier?
Yeah.
I mean, I know obviously our relations, I know that that's not as big an issue for you, but clearly there are certain people on the spectrum that do struggle meeting people, talking to people. Do you see that this could be a tool that they could use, social media?
Definitely, but I wouldn't want it to be the only tool.
Sure, absolutely.
Definitely, yeah. I would say it'd be like a good starter,
Mhm.
yeah. But from where I grew up, and well, you grew up where there was no,
There wasn't a
you
social
know, there
media.
wasn't any social media. I mean, you had to get out there and go find your friends. I just don't know if I could have probably. I think if I had it, I probably would have liked it to get me started, but then I would have wanted to.
Engage.
Be there,
Sure.
be there.
All right. Well, Jeremy, thank you.
Thank
you
y'all.
very much.
Well,